Okay, here we are in the final episode of Lord Cameron's Alpha Challenge Alpha. And I'm just going to start off by sacrificing a whole bunch of stuff that I don't think I'll be needing. Do that, and then let's see if there's more here. So I don't need that, and I don't need... Artifacts don't stack, otherwise, wear both of the gloves. Quiet Eye the Dragon I'll hold on to, just in case. Again, something I might hold on to just in case. Let's see if that gets me up another level. I need 9,000 more. Okay. If I were to sacrifice the things that I'm not as concerned about... Oh, I don't need both these boots of speed. The thing about the ring is I could make the power of the Dragon Father, theoretically. But I got rid of a bunch of the other pieces, I guess, so probably a bit silly. And he has leadership, so I don't think morale is ever going to be an issue. And then just one more. I guess I'll sacrifice the Mystic Orb of Mana. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to pop up here for... Oh, I could have gotten the extra 10,000 from the Battle Scholar Academy. I'm going to grab the Mana Vortex here. And a couple dragons. And then... I've already been to that. Oh, but it's the end of the week. I did not teleport this turn. So I'm going to go to Sparta. I should have chosen a place with angels that I hadn't grabbed yet. But too late now. Okay. And then I'll go back to Chromotini. Komotini, even. Okay. Couple more dragons. And then it's straight to the final shot. I think the main problem I'm going to face here... There's something up there. Can I see it? Not quite. Is there anyone nearby? I don't know how many heroes I have. I don't think I have 8. So I will... Wow, look at all these gold dragons I could be using. If I'd kept my spyglass, I could probably see it already. But I'll see if I can get Ingham to investigate what's going on. Genies and gold. That seems kind of fun. But I can't quite see what's going on over there. So it's just on to take out Erebus now. I could probably get a... Who needs portals? I could probably get a lot of experience taking out these wraiths, but I don't... I might lose too much of my army in the process. Oh, he's still charging me. Okay. I don't think I can make it across. And yeah, it doesn't look like there's actually land there. Doesn't look like I can make it across in one turn. But thankfully, I do have learning, so I can summon a boat. Let's start heading. And I think I might have to fight Erebus as a boat battle, which could be kind of fun. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to use weight against Erebus. That's going to be the tricky thing. I'm actually going to hunt them down, so we can have a proper fight. Alright, I'm not an expert in air magic, so I have no clue where they are. Hello? Maybe hunting them down was a bad idea. I think I'm I'm just gonna fire you. Well, they don't seem to be this way. Oh, there they are. There's a new week once more. And now, oh, they're going for my lands now. It's probably a good idea to hunt them down just so she doesn't sneak behind me. Okay. So let's see here. I've got expert leadership, which means I could split up some stacks if I want. I think if I'm going to crowd anyone together, it would be, yeah, something like that. So the Pegasus are the ones that die from the double attack. The Nagas I don't want to get hit. The Golems can probably take it. The Gold Dragons are fast enough that I'm not sure if Devils are faster or not. But I don't... Well, she can cast Haste, obviously. And I can make sure I don't have any of my speed artifacts here. That's good. And I can put on a cloak of some sort if there is one that makes me better. Not really. So I think that's about as good as it gets. Let's take her down. Wow. That's expected to be pretty easy. So one thing I learned from playing the campaigns over and over and over again, because I was playing on Iron Man, so every time I lost I'd restart the scenario, is that you cast slow at the start of battle. Even if you don't think you should cast slow at the start of battle, you cast slow at the start of battle. Even if you think, okay, first I will cast Implosion and take out the Archdevils and then I'll cast slow, no. You cast slow first. That was the main lesson I learned. Okay, I'm not allowed to wait. Can you get across in one turn? You can. I think I have to go in with his archers. Right. That's going to be annoying. And I can't get a double attack because of the way they're arranged here. Do I go for the Magogs or do I let the Titans take care of them? I think I let the Titans take care of them because the Cerebus are going to be a bit of a... Or I let the Black Dragons take care of them, I guess. Okay, you are fine. And then these are going to be a big problem. Okay, she just flees. I guess I could have used... I don't actually have the chains on me, I don't think, but I could have used them if I had them. Obviously. If there's a bunch of slamming noises, it's just there's other people in the house and they were never taught how to close doors. Right, Charon's saying that he'll charge me again when I get back. You remember a lost love as you pass through this sad vale. It tears at your heart to remember them. Saddened, you continue on your way. Yeah, so that's a good reason to have these luck artifacts for sure. Okay. They must have picked clean all these skeletons already. And I think the skeletons almost never have stuff anyways. Finally, you are out of the depressing vale. Just ahead, you see a group of men and women milling about, chatting casually. Off to one side, you see another group sparring with each other. Curious, you get close to take a look. What does the sign say this area is? Here rest those famous in war. So the sign doesn't really say what this area is. No, let's follow the path that I did properly. So the Palace of Hades is this way. The Elysium Fields are this way. Oh, so where was I then? I guess I was just in Dionysus's something. And Tartarus is that way. Okay. I wonder if you're supposed to not really fight these guys because, well, if you beat them, then the game would end rather than... Well, I guess that works. You can run past them or you can attack them. I guess that works. Welcome to the realm of Hades. Peeking into the terrifying underworld realm of Hades, you are glad you don't have to spend a long time here. It's incredibly hot and filled with dangerous lava flows and active volcanoes, not to mention some of his pets. I want to see what the Elysian Fields look like. And to do that, I'm going to have to avoid killing Hades. But I can take one town. Let's let them fight. Okay, he doesn't really have anything. The only situation where you don't cast slow is where you think you can win right away. That sucks to lose my last Pegasus. Let's see if I can resurrect them. That would be another situation where maybe you don't instantly cast slow. Stand right next to the other dragon so it doesn't kill it. And then... oh, that's just weird. Okay, so I think the Gogs are going to take down my Pegasi again, sadly. But that should be fine. I've got angels. There we go. Okay, now I can't take the other town because I don't want them to lose, but let's see what they've got here. It'd be kind of neat maybe if both these towns, like both the underworld towns, had a grail structure in them. Sacrifice. I don't know if I've ever used Sacrifice in my life. It's a very situational spell. I think its main advantage is you can cast it on gold dragons, because Resurrection's a tier 4 spell. But that's about the only thing it has going for it. Okay. Don't mind me. Just popping over to Elysium and Radamanthus. That's a different name. That's Nimbus, right? I think. So they're like a hero. Oh yeah, look, they have amazing stats. Shame they don't have an army of any sort. Tome of Magic, Ring of the Wayfarer. They had good items too. Ring of the Wayfarer is amazing. Oh, they had more. Okay, Ring of the Wayfarer or Still Eye of the Dragon? Ring of Suppression. I think what I have right now is better. But the mask... I'd trade that for the orb. And then... Vial of Lifeblood. Ring of Life. Ring of the Wayfarer. Ring of the Wayfarer is so good. Luck and Morale. Yeah, I think I do that. Take the -1 luck. There needs to be a +2 luck artifact, because there's so many +1 luck ones. Yeah, just got it. I don't have a use for that hill fort. I might not end up triggering any events in Elysium because I can fly, and possibly because the AI set them all off. But I can hope. And you would be Octavia, just normal Octavia, with a bunch of bone dragons. This is a borderline case to cast slow, but I will. And the reason I'm going to is because ghost dragons are really fast. Like, I'll kill them all, but, you know, on the off chance something happens, like I get a bunch of bad morale, because, I don't know, it's probably completely unnecessary. Although, that said, it's not looking like I'm going to make it unless I get morale here. Nope. It's annoying. It's almost like it's less special than Dionysus's Fields. They look like they're teleporting. Like they have Dimension Door. Erebus is really strong again. Like even stronger than she was before. Shame she didn't combine those two armies. Oh. Hello. I was looking for the Arms of Legion, wasn't I? Could make myself the Statue of Legion, I think. Oh, they're swarming everywhere. Oh, come on, Erebus. Stick around. Well, I have Town Portal. I can always catch them later. What I don't want to have happen is for me to win while they're just out there. Dying in the wilderness or something. But hopefully I'll be able to avoid that. Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's much going on. The AI might have already triggered all the events, which, again, maybe a gate here that they can't get through. Because it is a bit weird otherwise. I guess their other castle is down here somewhere. Oh, that was Octavia again. And she is the Titan's Cuirass. I wonder... And she has the Angel Feather arrows. I can finally make that bow I was trying to make, if I hadn't handed away everything. A lot of good items on this map, apparently. So is there another town down here? I wonder if there's Angel bows. It's empty. Okay. There is. The summer house. If I take that, it might end the game. So I guess I'll go to Tartarus now. Let's see if the seer has something for, yeah, I don't think so. I wonder if you can even play as Erebus at the start. No, you can't. So there's a quest that you can't do. Strange. Maybe that quest was some artifact that they're not supposed to have. I think that isn't me making a mistake. I think that's... But in the map making, I think that's just the fact that he can fly. I can test it, actually. Just take the wings off. Yeah, there we go. All works fine. So then you end up going through this portal. Man, they have so many heroes. And that takes you to kind of a nothing area. Takes you to another nothing area. That takes you to another portal. Ooh. After defeating the Hag's wyverns, you quickly slaughter them. Passing by their dead carcasses, one of your men notes the eye. It doesn't seem to be a human eye after all, but a dragon eye. You examine it and stuff it in your pocket. It could have some sort of magic to it after all. Okay, so I guess there's meant to be a bunch of fights. It's meant to be a gauntlet or something. But Erebus might have cleared it out. Oh, she can probably teleport, right? So she dimension doored over the gate and then just took out this area. That's probably how she got the chest place. The Titan's Cuirass. You've made it to Tartarus. It has been a long and arduous journey, but you are now here. This is where the damned souls are kept in their eternal hell. They wail endlessly, tortured and twisted. You know these hideous souls will stop at nothing to devour you. Yeah, so maybe this map should only allow for water walking, not for flying and teleporting. Or, at the very least, make it harder for Erebus to get a hold of those things. If I hadn't changed the victory condition, they still would have ended the game early. Yeah, because you're supposed to go right here, right? But they already grabbed it, because they'd used Dimension Door. So if I hadn't fixed the map in quotation marks, I wouldn't have gotten to play very long, so it was necessary. You pass by a man who has been tied to a revolving wheel of fire. You remember hearing about the story of King Lapthe Ixion, who was very wicked and evil. The gods punished him forever in Tartarus. You had assumed this was a tale your mum used to make you behave. Aren't you glad you did? Yeah, so they've completely picked this clean. So it's a map with a lot of potential, but deeply flawed. I'm not sure why I saw it on all those favorite lists, actually. Like, maybe it's just the potential of it is so great, people are willing to forgive its flaws. But I think it needs pretty severe fixing to... like, it was removed from the game for a reason, obviously. And I didn't realize that was the case, because I must have downloaded the backup, like, you know, so long ago that I didn't realize that it had been added to my files instead of just being part of the base game. Or it could be that I even copied over a map from the incomplete version, because, you know, I've been playing this game for so long, I might just have the files kicking around through some folder somewhere. I guess I'll go hunt down Erebus again, and then finish off their friends. Unless they've returned home. That's Ash. Oh, she's, well, moderately strong. Nothing compared to, it's month 5. Wow, I'm not going to get a very good score here. Spent too much time dawdling. Yeah, and where's that boat, Charon, huh? Okay, I'm pretty sure I saw them go down this way. It looks like I might be able to land on the shore up in Elysium as well. Man, there's so many of them. I think the AI is only supposed to make 5 heroes at a time. If it's... Well, actually, that's on hardest difficulty, and we're playing on... Expert? I thought I was playing on hard. Maybe I'm playing on expert. Okay. I think the AI does play almost its smartest on expert. It does a few things, like it has a bit of a harder time with the Grail map. And I think it only makes 4 heroes, typically, but they have 4 right there, and there's another one out in the water here somewhere. I'm almost certain there is. Oh, maybe you hop in the water from over there. Ingham, Sealy, Indies. Might have made sense to take a city and then defend it so I have a place to teleport back to quickly. Okay, they seem to have given me the runaround. I don't know how. Oh, maybe they went down that way. What is the shortcut for ending turn? I knew it once upon a time. E. Okay. So I'm just going to be pressing E, M, and Enter for a little bit here. And in fact, I don't care what the AI does. So I'm just going to not show their movement. Ah, there they are. Okay, now I care. A little bit. Alright, Erebus. Final showdown, let's go. Oh, you're gonna run. That's fine. Maybe you can run away and get a better army. If you are going to run... Nah. I can't cast Implosion anyways. Is there no combat music if you keep the menu open right at the start of the battle? Huh. The more you know. That's another reason to cast slow right at the start, is so they don't run away as easily. Okay, the hatred wasn't enough to win that exchange, which makes the rest of this tricky. I think the dragons are immune to... No, they're not. Okay. That is so many imps. That's ridiculous. And now I've lost my guys. The Ring of Disintegration is a modded thing, it's not base game. That's from Horn of the Abyss. Look how much money I have. 68 million. That's compound interest for you. Really, really good compound interest. Like, I think I almost double my money every week. Where do they think they're going? They're just running away. They must return to where the Titan was. Alright, I'm just gonna hunt them down now. I am allowed to split my stacks because I have leadership. This is where slow comes in handy. I think I'll let my Titans take care of those if I can. So I don't get the retaliate, so I don't get the fire shield killing my own units. There we go. And then got Thane up there. Guess I'll go for him next. And yeah, that's not really going to go any differently. Guess if I do it like that. Perfect. There we go. Grab a little defense hole in here. Okay, I think I can turn the speed back to normal. There we go. And let's take down Ash. Now, who is in here? Intius. Alright, we'll let you defend your tower with some spells or whatever you end up doing. I'm feeling a little... Let's see. Let's see if I can break my own rule, given how much more powerful I am. Yeah, I think that was fine. Of course, it cost me more spell power to do so. And let's just let the towers do their thing. And I don't think you can resurrect... Yeah, you can't resurrect golems. Which makes them really strange, because you also can't repair them with Horn of the Abyss's new mechanic unit. Which means that they're not living and they're not mechanical. They're... I don't know what they are. I'm going to go back to Hades. If you couldn't tell what happened there, I just teleported from there to there using the city, but it didn't really show anything, so that's what was going on there. Okay. And I guess it's now just time to... It's nice that Erebus is the last one I'm going to fight here. It's very fitting. Just come over here and take them down. Oh, they're going. Oh, they're fast. They're really fast. Oh, that's going to be annoying. Oh. And they've somehow made themselves unapproachable. They got some fight left in them still. Okay, can I do something here? I don't think so. But if they go back to the city, I'm fine with that. Oh, they can also fly. Wow, alright. Okay, Erebus, you gave me the runaround, but now it ends. Final fight, let's go. Let's see if we is there anything interesting we can do that we wouldn't normally do? Yeah, we can hypnotize. Okay. Get rid of those. So I think the advantage of this is, yeah, there's no retaliation, so I can just keep them. And I don't think they're allowed to attack the hypnotized unit. So I've kind of got myself a... And these guys have no retaliation either. Don't let this fool you into thinking hypnotize is useful at all. Okay. So then, do we make them fight, or do we make them gather up and just hit them with like a fireball or something? Armageddon. There you go. The Ring of Oblivion, that's what they had, yeah. And they were fast. Penitent Downfall. Ooh. Good thing I had so many morale artifacts. And they had the Tome of Air Magic, that's how they're doing Dimension Door. And that is the game. Yeah, very low rank here. Because I spent a lot of time fooling around. But that's the I think it's more important to fool around than to get a high score. Because if you're having fun fooling around and you're not worried about optimization, I think that means the game designer's done something right. Like I talked about how players will optimize the fun out of everything. If you've made a game where they're just fooling around and having fun, and they're not trying to optimize the fun out of everything, then you've done a pretty good job. And I think that's where the disconnect with games like Tears of the Kingdom comes from. I didn't like it, but that's because I wasn't fooling around in it, because I wasn't incentivized to fool around. But the people that do like it and do fool around are going to have a great time. And I was able to fool around in Breath of the Wild. So, and I loved it, but I can see why some people wouldn't like it. So that has given me... I don't have many high scores on this copy of Heroes. I've got like 6 copies on my computer. But yeah, this one, not very high scores. But to be fair, Maelstrom is a very hard game, so I'll take that one. And this map is hard to get around, but I also wasn't nearly as good when I was playing this one. I've gotten much better since then. But yeah, that's that. Apparently I'm also Lord Space Cameron compared to Lord Cameron. So if you made it this far, thanks for sticking around with me. It was fun. It was neat to see the map. It was neat to see the potential of what it could be. I hope someday, or maybe someone that I haven't seen has already made a proper version of this map, Myth and Legend, and I think that'd be really cool to play a map that it worked. Maybe it's too hard to make work, or it's impossible to make work, because it is neat to have gods flying around and whatnot, but when they fly, it's hard. There almost needs to be a map object you can't fly or teleport over. Like enough thick stone, I guess, could do it potentially. They have all that extra space in the underworld I was talking about, so what you could do is you could massively compress the rivers, and then you could use all that extra thick stone to prevent people from teleporting or flying between zones. And that would allow you to keep flying in the game without it breaking the map, I think. To some degree. You could still fly over gates and whatnot, but it would help. You could also make a teleporter with a key guardian in front of it, because you can't teleport directly onto the teleporter. So then you have to get through the gate guardian legitimately at some point. You might be able to fly though, come to think of it still. You couldn't teleport, but you could still fly probably. But if it's Cupid doing the flying, then that's not as big a deal or something like that. But yeah, it's a tricky map to make it work because you want people to feel like powerful gods, but you also want them to have to, struggle through the underworld. You could also make it just, if you make it smaller, it would also mean that the struggle through the underworld would be quicker, which means you wouldn't be as likely to be in that portion of the game where you have Fly or Town Portal or Dimension Door, all those spells. You could also set it to Horn of the Abyss with the spell research. Like, I don't want to get rid of the spells entirely, that's what I'm looking at here right now, basically. But yeah, that was the game. And that is Lord Cameron's Macro Challenge. So I will now, I guess, read off what I think the final rules are going to be, at least from what I've learned, and of course these would change in the future. And I'll go over what I think worked and didn't work. So my current rules are, if heroes exchange units or items, you must end your turn before moving another hero. Heroes may still exchange units or items as many times as they wish while stood next to each other, and heroes may still interact with the space they are on or next to after they trade, as long as they don't move from that spot. Heroes may continue to move after trading, as long as it took place in a castle. And if you accidentally move after trading, move back to where the trade happened. So I think that rule was one of the worst rules from the beginning. Not in what I wanted to have happen, because I wanted people to stop hero chaining, but it was the worst in that it was really hard to implement, and I kept messing up. And I think this rule change, after I implemented it, I didn't make that mistake nearly as often. I didn't have as much trading to do after that, but when I was doing trading, I don't think I was making that mistake as often, because it's a lot easier to remember, okay, I've traded, now I can't touch anything until I hit the end turn button. That's pretty easy to remember. So I think that's a good example of why you need to test things and put them into practice, and then you see what the actual proper gameplay that you want to rise is. And so I think that one was greatly improved by gameplay, and I'm fairly happy with the result where it stands right now. I think I need to do another playthrough with my new rules to see if they actually hold up when you use them from the beginning and you have a map that isn't horribly broken. But I think that change feels right and feels much easier to keep track of. And it also doesn't feel like it limits the player that much in what they're able to do, because it has so many options. Like, you can go into a castle, you can stand by each other and do a little complicated trades. You can make a little triangle like I did at one point, a little trade triangle. So I think it works pretty good. If I was making the Heroes of Might and Magic from ground up, or making a mod, I would almost make trading free, like it not take any movement points, but it also ends your movement. So you can still do it, but you can't go anywhere. Because that way, every time you make a little mistake, like, oh, actually I wanted to trade this and get that artifact, I need to double check this over here. You're not losing movement points for just not holding a bunch of information in your head at once. Because I don't think you should be punished for, not having a notebook beside you while you play the game. Although, that's, of course, to taste and preference. Next rule. You may not have more heroes than towns +1. Garrisoned heroes count towards your limit, and you can't open a prison if it would take you over your limit. This rule, I think, was good. It felt nice to have less heroes. Once I had a bunch of towns, it became... like, 8 heroes is too much. I think Heroes of Might and Magic, maybe you should only be allowed 5 heroes. So if anything, I might... Rule number 3, which is next. you can have a maximum of 8 heroes garrisoned or not. I might lower that to 5 if I was to do this in the future, because I think having 8 heroes is just annoying to keep track of. Even on a map as big as that, I don't find the 8 heroes are needed. Like, I don't think you're going to have 8 mains. So I think I'm just going to make a new rules over here and say you can have a maximum of 5. That would be the thing I would test in the future, because I could see a situation where that becomes frustrating and doesn't work. But that's, and so I'll put a note here that's untested. Maximum 5 heroes would be the total. Now, as for counting garrisoned heroes towards your limit, and as for the prison rule, I think the prison rule is fine. You can't open the prison if it would take you over your limit. I think that's a fine rule to have. It seemed to work for me fine. I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything. It wasn't annoying. Garrisoned heroes counting towards my limit, though, was annoying to switch through all the towns and try to count all the heroes. And at the end there, when I hired that hero, that was me to just look to give Hercules a spot. That was me giving up, right? Because I could have gone through all my towns, counted all the heroes. If there was too many, deleted one of them, then hired the guy. So the whole point of this is to be a macro challenge. It's meant to reduce micro, right? So that rule actually made there be more micro in that circumstance. Now there's other circumstances where maybe you're juggling heroes and you're bringing a hero into a town so you can bring a hero out of a town. But I think that's actually easier and less taxing. It's more clicks needed to do. But I think in the long run, you actually use less brain power even if you use more clicks, because you're not going through all the towns all the time trying to count how many heroes you have. So that is a rule I don't think works. So I'm going to get rid of that rule, where garrisoned heroes do not count towards your limit. To be clear, I think garrisoned heroes should no longer count towards your limit. But I think the limit of heroes should still probably be 5 no matter how many towns you have. And also you shouldn't have more heroes than you have towns +1. The +1 was also slightly hard to keep track of, but it was slightly hard to keep track of. But it wasn't the worst thing, so I'll put a question mark there. I like to put question marks next to rules when I'm making board games and other things where I play by that rule, but I'm letting myself know in the future if I think, wow, that's really annoying, then I have more permission to change it, more leeway, because I already thought once, this might not work, I'm not really sure. This isn't me thinking, this is a great idea, let's give it its full test. This is more, I said don't change rules mid-playthrough. The ones that I put question marks to are more rules that I'm willing to change mid-playthrough because I wasn't sure about them in the first place, because I thought they might break everything, right? So that one I'm much more willing to change. So rule 4, you may not use the wait button unless you have tactics. You may only wait a number of times per round corresponding to your tactics skill. Basic once, advanced twice, expert 3 times. This one was one where I liked the idea, but I definitely messed up a few times, and I had to add the accidental waits or defends rule, but even then I was messing up when I jumped into that fight and I was waiting with my gold dragons and they're going back and forth. So I'm not sure what to do there, because, and I think I also accidentally used tactics one time, right? Yeah, and I had to reload the save. And this is where maybe the whole kill your darlings comes in, right? It's a rule I really like the idea of. I like the idea of getting rid of tactics and reducing waiting significantly, but I'm not sure if my implementation worked. Now, if it's a rule that I like this much and I only messed up part of the time, it's something I'm willing to keep and test again and say, okay, this is really becoming a problem. And it's also something that I'd like to change to be less error prone, because I like everything about it, but I don't like how it's kind of like the heroes trading was before I fixed it. I liked everything about it, but it was so error prone. It wasn't really a rule I could justify keeping around. And this is a similar situation where I really like everything about it, but it's hard to actually, I think the rules need to change to be easier to remember somehow. And I'm not sure how to do that. So that's something that I'll keep ticking away at the back of my mind. And if you have any suggestions in the comments to make it easier to remember, or have a change to it that, you think is good in any way, even if it totally changes the rule altogether, I'm happy to hear it, because I'd like to simplify it if I could, definitely, or make it some way that is impossible to forget, kind of like, or much harder to forget, like I did with the heroes trading. If I was able to disable tactics like you are in the base game, that would help, obviously, but that would have the downside of its own, that you wouldn't be sure if your hero had tactics or not. You wouldn't remember, like, wait, did that hero have tactics? I don't remember. So that could be a problem in of itself. One potential solution just off the top of my head would be doing something like saying, you're not allowed to pick tactics if it's offered to you, unless you're forced to take tactics. And then you just use tactics and you just wait. But that, I want a tactics gone. And the other thing you could do is you could say tactics is banned from all maps, because you could just edit every map before you start to not allow tactics. But except for the heroes that have it, of course. But I don't really think that's a solution that would be fun to implement, because you'd have to do it every time. I typically have a house rule of just not picking up tactics if I can avoid it, so it could be something like that. But yeah, that's one that has to go back into the oven and have a bit more of a think. The addendums to it are that you may not otherwise use tactics, and accidental weights are defense, which we talked about. Then rule number 5, you may not split stacks of identical units unless you have leadership. You may only split them a number of times corresponding to your leadership skill. So Sierra messed that up over and over and over again. Thankfully, it was never for something that was super consequential. It might have been at one point. She might have lost a giant early on if she hadn't done that. And, you know, things tend to snowball in Heroes of Might and Magic. So if I had lost that giant, I might have never beaten those demons. And if I hadn't beaten those demons, I may have never gotten titans, and so on and so on. But it might not have mattered because I completely overestimated the strength of the archers I was attacking in the first place. So I don't think I would have lost the giants, but there were a few other fights she did where I think, like against the Evil Eyes as well, that could have mattered. And otherwise, I quite liked the rule because it, you know, if you have leadership and you split the stacks, you go into combat, you don't have to remember if that hero has leadership or not. You know they have leadership because they split the stacks. And it led for much more interest in armies when I did remember the rule, I think, because I wasn't simply, you know, split stacking a bunch of titans and saying, okay, there's my army, or having a bunch of titans in a corner with a bunch of gargoyles and saying, there's my army. I think Hercules' final army is the kind of army you'd see whether or not that rule was in place. So I don't think my rule was responsible for that. I think it was just, hey, this guy's high leadership, let's get all the best units in the game in one army. So I don't think it really made a difference there. It definitely made the game harder, but it prevented a whole lot of fiddling about in early combat, especially, of surrounding your shooter with archers or something. And even when Sierra broke the rule, I think for the most part she was using it, she was still being offensive with her like split stacks of gargoyles. They were all charging forward rather than surrounding the titan, making it impossible to hit, which is what I want to avoid mostly, was the units just standing there and doing nothing for the entire combat. So I like it, but definitely an easier way to remember would be nice, but I don't know if that's possible to do. Then we'll go into the extra rules I had, which weren't part of the macro challenge, but were just part of making the game more balanced, or making the choices you make harder, rather than, oh, do I get logistics or fire magic? It's like, well, always logistics, but I was trying to make those choices harder, right? So you can only buy ammo cart if you have Eagle Eye. So that seemed to turn out, the end result of that was I never bought an ammo cart, which, you know, I'm okay with. I think ammo carts are too powerful to be a regular thing. And so if you're willing to make that sacrifice, grab an Eagle Eye so you can get the ammo cart, then yeah, I think I made ammo carts and Eagle Eyes into something more like the ballistics or artillery skill, where it's very situational, but there are situations where you're like, I just want infinite arrows, so I'm going to grab that. Especially if you have an army of Medusas or something where they only have 4 shots. I think that would be a case where you might look into picking up Eagle Eye if for some reason you don't have access to any other archers. And I liked it. I liked that result. You can only cast adventure spells if you have learning. I don't think that one really made sense. Learning is a fairly bad skill that I wouldn't pick otherwise, and this made learning be something I desperately wanted, so that was nice. But the tie-in to adventure map spells didn't really make that much sense compared to using something like navigation, you know. And I think the obvious and navigation is another fairly bad spell, like learning. Navigation has its place, whereas learning, maybe if you get a secondary hero that's level 1 at the start, right near the end of the game, learning could be useful, or it's a very small map maybe, but I don't think there is a value to learning that would make it worth picking up. Like if grabbing learning made you level up 5 times every time you picked it up, maybe. But I think the math on learning is basically, on average, you end the game about 3 levels higher than your opponent, maybe. And that means you're gaining like an extra level on them throughout the game, which is 1 extra primary skill stat, which isn't much. That's like a weak artifact difference. And you're taking up a whole skill slot to do that. So even though you're getting more skills faster, or rather you're getting a single skill faster, you also had to take learning, which means you're down a skill. And if you take it 3 times, you're down 3 skills to get ahead 1 skill. So I just don't think learning's a good skill. But that said, for casting adventure map spells, I think I'll change that to, well, it wasn't impossible to remember. It was fairly easy to remember. I'll put in brackets here navigation, just as a sort of a question mark thing. But I think learning actually, because navigation has its place, what I could do is split it. So navigation is for like your town portals and your whatnot, and then learning is for your other adventure map spells like disguise and visions and view earth and view air and that sort of thing. But then I don't think you would ever take learning. Well, maybe you would still take learning because visions is a very good spell, for instance. And there are use cases where you'd want to have view air and view earth. As it is, I might have made learning too necessary a skill, actually, even. So I could see an argument for splitting them, but then that's one more rule to remember. And that becomes complicated. So another thing I could do is say you can only cast adventure map spells if you have learning or navigation. That's something I could do as well. So I'll put or with a question mark as well, navigation. Okay, you can only cast Implosion if you have fire magic. It was a fine idea. It didn't really come up, and it didn't feel natural. Like, I think Implosion is too powerful, and it's in Earth magic, which is such a powerful... Earth magic is a very powerful school of magic already. But I didn't feel like it improved the game. It more... Well, it made me want my Master Mage, Syrah, to have all the schools of magic, which is neat. So I think it's fine. It might be easier just to mod... Like, it's not very hard to change which school of magic a spell's part of in any version of Heroes. So that might be the better move, is just mod the game every time. But I have modded Implosion to be part of fire magic before, and it didn't feel right. So making it need earth and fire maybe is for the best, but... yeah, I don't know if it... There's a bit of a thrill of, oh yeah, I got earth magic, now I can use Implosion, right? And fire magic, I balanced the game, but like I talked about early on with BTB's mod, HoMM, another Heroes 3 mod, you can polish the magic out of something. And I think the Implosion fire magic rule does that. I think it balances the game better, and it does make you take fire magic to... So it does force you to have multiple skills of magic, which is kind of cool. But the cost of that is earth magic doesn't have Implosion. And earth magic having Implosion is a sort of exciting moment when you're playing the game. And finding an Implosion as a tier 5 spell, you're going, yeah, I got Implosion, this is amazing. Versus, oh, there's Implosion, but I don't have fire magic. You could say the same about learning. But you could also say the same, I found slow, but I don't have earth magic, or I found town portal, but I don't have earth magic. Yeah, I think there's already so many rules. I think this is one that can go. It might come back in the future, but I think it's one that can go. So then we have, you may only cast Town Portal once per hero. And I think, funnily, that was one we added later on. And I think it was actually still too generous. I think instead the rule should be something like, may only cast Town Portal once or a number of times per week equal to the number of heroes you have, or only cast it once per week, even. And there's a neat rule of game design. I forget the guy's name. He was a game designer for Disney. But his rule of game design was, take big jumps. Don't do little steps. So if a number seems slightly... like if you have an attack stat in your game and it seems like it's too weak, double it. Like if you're balancing, let's say the Harpy Hags in Heroes of Might and Magic 3, and you think, their attack's a little bit too weak. Well, his suggestion would be, don't increase it by +1, double it. And the reason you double it is because then if it seems way too strong after you double it, now you have a range that you know the attack must be within. It is somewhere between its original range and the doubling. And now you have it's very quick and then you just take the average of those and you see if that works. And then if that's too high, then you take the average of the lower boundary and the middle. And if it's too low, you take the average of the middle and the upper boundary. And it's very easy to narrow in on the correct value. And if you double it and it's still too weak, then you didn't waste time adding +1 10 times in a row until you got up to that point. And then you double it again. And it helps you, and the same goes for if it's too strong, have it. And it's a great way to zone in on values very quickly. So I think only casting once per hero was too generous. So I think may only cast Town Portal once per week is where I would go with that. I think that should be fairly easy to remember. You just, you could even have a little thing on your desk, like put a little token on top of your monitor, like, okay, there's my Town Portal gone. And you take it off until the end of the week and then you can put it back on, Where's my Town Portal token gone or something? There might be a better way to do it as well. Not off the top of my head, but yeah, I think if anything, that rule wasn't harsh enough, so there we go. And then another rule we added late. You may not buy from a cartographer, but you may cast View Earth or View Air while standing on their cartographer with that hero. And that one I like. I don't like the cartographer in general, and I think this makes them still useful without just house ruling away, never visiting them. So I think that rule I will keep at the moment. So there you have it. Those are the untested partially, but those are the new, we could call those maybe the beta rules now. Those are Lord Cameron's Macro Challenge rules. Easier to remember than the original, less of them than the original, I think. Oh no, there's actually slightly more of them, depending on how you look at it. Because Garrison Heroes no longer count towards your limit, you could say that was getting rid of a rule. Yeah, those are the rules. Try them out. If you like them, let me know. If you don't like them, let me know. Let me know your thoughts of changes or improvements to them. And if you have ways to help the tactics and leadership rules be easier to remember, or that can get a similar effect for less effort, I'd love to hear them. And once again, thank you for making it this far, and thank you in advance if you leave any interesting ideas about where to take these rules further. Because I do love game design and brilliant ideas and seeing new ideas. So I'm excited to see what thoughts people might have if they have any. And you take care.